Hello and welcome to Sisters Squared. I'm so excited. My name is Pamela and I am your host, your writer, your advocate, your everything, I guess, when it comes to the squareness of being a sister to a neurodivergent younger sister, Christine. Today, we're going to share the why of this platform, how it came to be, and hopefully what you can expect. So let's get started. The beginning. One point in my life, I felt like I was on top of the world. I had the house, the car, the job, the family, the friends, the anxiety, the depression, the worthlessness, the Ativan, the sleeping pills, the opioids, the booze, and then I crashed. And that was more than 20 years ago. Went through a divorce, went through many traumatic events. Done. The crash, although unknown to me, was going to happen again, only just a few short years ago. And this time, this happened all by itself. There were no supplements, there was no tragedy, there was no nothing, just pure emotional, mental, physical breakdown. My spirit was shattered, it was broken, I was hopeless, and I was not sure at all for a long time that I was not going to end up like my brother, who took his life. So, from a lifetime of searching for answers about who I am, where I came from, and why I carried so much unspoken hurt and guilt, I didn't understand why. Something must be wrong with me, as everyone must agree. For decades, I tried to patch the cracks in my soul, through every method available. Therapy, self-help books, speakers, retreats, spirituality, relationships. I took classes, more and more classes, read more and more books about the brain and how it worked. I enrolled in a master's program in psychology to better understand myself. I made choices in love and in life that led me to toxic places for a long time. I thought I was simply who I was destined to be, a person shaped by the shadow of a perfect child, a sister who could do no wrong in anyone's eyes. And for the last few years, I have unlocked this. And with the help of reflection and recovery from a trauma therapist, I began to see things even deeper. It's true what they say. You need to do the work and you need to dig deep. I realized that much of my childhood stands from the undeniable truth that I did not receive the necessities of love and attention and security and emotional support from my childhood. I know, blah, 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 blah. We all hear it, right? However, it's a different thing when you totally understand it. And that's what this is all about. This relationship it filled me with blame and anger against my sister, and she didn't deserve that. I dug further and I understood why my parents, they were living their own nightmare. In 1971, my life changed, and in ways I only learned to understand decades later. Christine Miller, my sister, was born on April 12th, 1971. Beautiful baby girl, 10 fingers and 10 toes, that's all we cared about. The medical professional's advice to my mother was to institutionalize her. Raise her as a child with disabilities was not to be encouraged. I mean, what would people say, right? Well, my mother refused, and my father was confused. She chose to fight. She battled a system that had no place for families like ours. We carry the burden of uncertainty every single day, never knowing what the future would look like. They lived in survival mode every day of their lives, and survival mode does not leave space for tender feelings. My attention, along with my brothers, were not neglected out of cruelty. We were neurotypical. We were normal. And we did not need to be parented. It was our job now to be the parent to my sister. And this is when I no longer was a sister in any sense of my world. This story is simply and truly an understanding of why I am the way I am, my self-discovery. And when I discovered that I can explain this reason these things happened throughout my life, certain events, there were triggers. There were unknown triggers. Why do we seek attention? Why do we seek approval? Why are we so hard on ourselves? Trying to make yourself visible can be so difficult. Throughout the episodes, we're going to talk to other families and professionals about their experiences. We'll meet Nicole in the next episode, who has a son with autism. We're going to meet Jason, who works in the city with mentally and physically developmentally delayed individuals, a family that I grew very fond of when I was teaching, along with other raw stories of survival. This impact of living in a shadow was so profound on my brother that he ended his life. And I often wonder if he too was feeling the same mental state that I had been in. Only he knows. And I can imagine that he had similar experiences. But again, no blame here. Just plain and simple realization, understanding, and a platform to share, because I know there's others out there. You become someone who's always seeking something that's missing. Is it love? Is it acceptance? Is it approval? What is it? I realized I dwelled a lot on being seen and chosen first, since I was always second to my sister. Understandably, but I never could piece it together until this podcast came to be. And we're all still healing. I consistently question my worth, carrying invisible scars while outwardly appearing fine. That contradiction is at the heart of this series, because we hold so much internally. In the next episodes, we can hope to explore the silent struggles of others who grew up in the shadow of disabilities, the ripple effects that shape their lives. We'll share the love that we carry for our brothers and our sisters, but also the confusion, the grief, and yes, the resentment that often goes unspoken. It's about learning how to forgive parents for an unknown environment that they had to navigate and overcome. As each day came and went, a new challenge arose continuously. They fought for her life. They were overwhelmed by a reality no one prepared them for. Through these episodes, I hope to also weave a piece of my personal journey with conversations from others who have walked similar paths. Over my 30 years in Red Deer, I've crossed paths with countless families living in the same quiet stories. As an educator in our Red Deer schools, I saw it daily. Siblings who felt invisible, parents stretched beyond breaking. She wants to get involved, I think. And communities, that still struggle to understand. Through their openness and willingness and raw footage, we will see that they are not alone. We are not alone. And there's other stories and other brothers carrying the same scars. These families inspired me to build this platform, to gather some stories together and to shine a light on some experiences to which we are unknown, along with feelings we are not supposed to have. It's ultimately about healing and not erasing a past, but learning to see it clearly, to name it, and to transform it. It's also about moving from bitterness into compassion, from silence into connection, and from trauma into resilience. The question we return to again and again is, how do we honor our parents' struggles while acknowledging our own pain? The answer, I believe, is in forgiveness, always. Not the easy kind, not at all. This is a brave, messy kind that allows us to move forward. And again, this is not just my journey, it's a collective one. And in our shared space, we will find the possibility of growth, of understanding, and love. You're going to hear next from my mother, Clara, and my sister, who were here for my son's wedding this August. But before we go into that, I want to share a few statistics around the medical field in 1971. We had to take a pause because the dog needed a break. So let's go back to the statistics from 1971. So in 1971, when my sister was born, there was no prenatal testing. That was not available. Diagnosis only came after birth, usually by physical features recognized by the doctor, of course. The medical advice was pessimistic. Parents were told that their children would have a poor quality of life and would not live beyond 23, 25, if that. Institutionalization was routinely recommended. The doctor's advice was placing babies in facilities like the Michener Center or the provincial training school, which was where babies with mental defectiveness went, where many involuntary sterilizations occurred between 1921 and 1977. This institution was to provide care and training to facilitate the integration of individuals with intellectual disabilities into their communities. So in essence, they were supposed to prepare individuals to live in the neurodivergent world to which we can all collectively agree no longer exists. Had we lived in Red Deer in 1971, my sister may have been one of those patients, and I thank heaven that she was not. There was intense and tremendous social attitudes. Intellectual disabilities was poorly understood and carried heavy social judgments. Offensive language was used in medical and public life. I can't share how many times I heard the word mongoloid, and the cause was simply incest. So I mean, here I am, a child of 10, 12, 13, understanding this, trying to understand this. This was hovering over my head for my whole life. Of course, this is not what happened. Inclusive education did not exist. Children with Down syndrome were generally not allowed in public schools. Some attended segregated special schools and were kept at home. My sister went to school. My mom was very instrumental in making sure she lived as normal a life as possible. Parental advocacy was just beginning in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Apparently, associations started pushing for rights and community care. Again, my mom was one of the first to bring inclusive education into our small town in Saskatchewan. She fought hard for her to be as normal as possible, but this just brought on more trauma for me. Those who chose to raise their child at home were pioneers, laying the groundwork for later changes in inclusion, community supports, and disability rights. And I truly hope throughout this podcast that I get a chance to share all the positive and negatives of living in the shadow of a sister with Down syndrome. Hi, My name's Pamela. What's your name?
I'm Christine.
Where do you live, Christine?
I live with Brandon.
Brandon, Manitoba.
I live in Toba.
In an apartment, right?
I can handle it.
Okay.
There's two staff.
2 staff. What are their names? What's the name of your staff?
Monica and Willie.
Monica and
Willie.
Wendy?
Willie.
Lily.
Lily.
And those are her roommates, not
Those
her
are your
staff.
roommates, not your staff.
Willie for her
Monica
staff.
and Lily.
It was Deb.
Yes.
Who's your staff?
Yeah.
Deb.
What is the name of your staff? Your favorite staff person?
Deb.
Deb. And do you live in a house? Do you live in an apartment?
No. Just
What?
one.
Just a house.
Yep.
Okay. And how many roommates do you have?
2.
2 roommates.
2. Monica and Willie.
And okay. And what do you guys like to do for fun?
Yep.
What do you do for fun?
Yep. Chicken
yeah.
nuggets.
You do what?
Chicken nuggets.
Oh, I'm not sure what that is.
Not sure either. I'm not sure either.
Favorite place to go?
Hey, Miss Dutchie.
Oh, that's your favorite dog. Okay. What's the name of your dog?
Dutchie.
Duchess.
There's an X. S. Dutchie.
2 S's, yes. And Duchess was your favorite dog?
Yeah.
Yeah. And who
White
else?
and brown and white.
White and brown. Did anybody else have a dog that you know?
That's one.
That's one.
It's not here. Passed
Not
away.
here anymore, no. And who's your
It isn't
sister?
a pet for me either.
Do you have a sister?
You are
Okay. What's her name?
Pam.
Yes.
My sister Pam.
And who's this over here?
What's right there?
Oh, who's this here?
Kill. Oh,
What's her name?
Carol.
Clara. But who is she to you?
She's a Vernon.
She's your mom.
She's a Vernon.
And she lives in Verdun.
Yep.
Yeah. Mom, tell us about when you found out you were pregnant with Christine. Those first few months. What kind of pregnancy was it? Was it an
No,
easy
there was
pregnancy?
no problems back then, Pam. I don't think I told you.
No, you didn't tell me what kind of.
No,
Pregnancy
it
you
was
had.
just normal pregnancy.
Yeah.
Absolutely normal.
And so when you went into the hospital and you had Christine, let's walk through that again because it was quite tragic, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I didn't see my baby for 3 days, and I kept asking to see my baby, and they, each time they'd say, well, maybe tomorrow, and I said, there's something wrong with her. Well, a nurse will be in to talk to you about it. So after 3 days, I finally got to see my baby, and she looked perfectly normal to me. She had 10 fingers, 10 toes. The only thing, she had little slits for eyes. I really didn't know what that meant. I didn't know, and then it was just hush, 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 and more tests on the baby, and then, make a long story short, I was told she had Down syndrome. I did not know what that was. I was advised to put her in an institution, and I just said, absolutely not. I've carried her for 9 months. I'm taking her home, and that was it.
But you went home with no resources from the hospital?
No, I had to do all that on my own. I had to do that on my own. But that time we had a public health nurse would come, and she was, very helpful, and she gave me names of 3 families in Regina that did have, I lived in Regina at the time, that had Down syndrome. And I went to visit each one of them, and one was, I can't remember, it's so long ago. One I think was 5, and then one was 12, but I mean, they all looked like 12-year-old, looked like she was 5. They don't show their age, right? And no, I just managed to raise her by myself. She was a challenge because she was very slow in developing. I think she was, I don't know if she was walking at 2.
I think she wasn't walking till 3.
Yeah, she was,
right?
Muscles, everything was very much delayed. But, yeah, persevered, and she managed to grow up in a normal. Her siblings, Rob and Pam, were very good with her. They helped her with her muscles. They would sit her on the floor and try and get her to sit up by herself without a pillow behind her, and they were very good. And I remember public health nurse was there, and I said Christine hadn't had a tooth yet, and I was very, concerned about this. Am I going to have to get this child dentures? And she said, the later they come in, the better they are. And she did have good teeth until in her later years when she didn't look after them properly anymore.
You didn't do anything like that,
She,
did you, Chris? In
her younger years, in her teens, this was in, I think we were living in Moosomin. This is all under Special Olympics. We had a T-ball going, and figure skating. She was on figure skates. And then in her later years, into her teens, she became, I think we were in Brandon by then, moved to Brandon because she became a very good swimmer. She actually we had to go to Winnipeg for a competition. So she did a lot of the activities that any normal child would do, person would do. So, she had,
And when you brought her home to the hospital, and Rob and I, that's Christine's brother Robert, and myself, Pamela, did we right away know something was different about her, or did we not know or not care, and did you tell us?
You would not have known because she had such nice rosy cheeks. If I told you, I don't remember, and you wouldn't probably understand it.
No.
It took me a couple of years to understand it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And like back then, we're talking...
In 1970...
She's 54 now, so back then, that's what they did with any child that wasn't born normal, sent to an institution.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, honest to God, that's what happened.
Except we didn't allow it to happen.
Can you imagine if I had sent her to an institution?
And how did Rob and I, other than helping her develop, which I remember a lot of those, I remember putting her on her knees and getting her to just crawl, and we would put something in front of her that she really wanted so that she would advance just a little bit further. And
you were very good with her.
Yeah.
You were very good with her.
Yeah.
So she had actually she was a challenge, but more so a joy.
Mm-hmm. Describe some of her challenges, Mom. What were some of those challenges?
No, I just made the error of putting her in the regular school system, and then they put her in with the special O, and that was a much better environment for her, because they did activities at her level, and along with the other. I think there must have been. I think there was 7 in that special O. Very excellent teacher. I can still see her. No, can't remember her name. Doesn't matter. And that's it. What else do you know?
What's some other challenges other than just school? School was a big challenge, and you advocated a lot to get her in inclusive classrooms.
What other challenges were there?
That's what I'm asking you. There was a challenge about getting her to receive her first communion with the church. So talk about that conversation you had with the priest.
No, it wasn't a challenge. I just, I didn't go with her to her catechism classes, but she did make her first communion. But confirmation, I sat through every class with her.
Mm.
That was the confirmation, and she was confirmed.
But also, the priest at the time, said that she needed to understand what was happening, and you made her understand in what way?
Another priest told me that it wasn't necessary as long as she knows to respect what she was taking.
Right.
And we tried to tell her, that this is the bread of, you're eating the bread of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Whether, got through to her or not, but we went through the routine. Every Sunday went to church, and anything else, she learned to sit still in church.
That was
Can't
about
say
it,
that
right?
for a lot of kids.
And then let's talk a little bit about navigating through death, because that was really quite... Oh, she's falling asleep. Christine, what is heaven?
I don't know.
Where do you see heaven?
I don't know.
Chris, listen to us. Where do you see heaven when we're
I
driving?
don't know, Mom.
Is it a graveyard? See, when
heaven.
when her grandma
It's okay.
passed away, I said, Grandma, you know, has gone to heaven. And so then we took Grandma to the graveyard. So Grandma that's a heaven, because that's where we took Grandma. Every time we pass a graveyard, she calls it a heaven. And I think that's beautiful.
That's how she's navigated death, I believe. Because even when we lost Rob, remember? He's in heaven now too, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Who else is in heaven?
Dad,
Dad. Yeah.
Grandma,
Grandma.
Papa,
Your dad. Yeah.
Papa Miller,
Papa Miller.
Grandma Miller,
Grandma
Harry,
Miller.
Diane,
Diane and Heather.
Heather and Diane.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot. But what about your roommate? 2 of your roommates.
Which roommates?
Heather passed away.
No, but your roommate in Brandon. Trying to
My
remember.
friend.
Colleen.
Colleen. And what was the other one? What was the other roommate that passed?
Terry.
Cherry. She took that very hard.
Yeah.
Terry's passed away.
She has their pictures on her wall.
And Christine's lived with you and Dad up until how old?
54.
You're 54 now, yeah.
I made the decision. I can't remember
She was living in Brandon at the
how
time.
old she was,
with
but
you and Dad.
I was thinking, what is going to happen with this child if something happens to Ralph and I? And that's when I made the decision to put her with this agency. It's Family Visions in Brandon. And so we got her in there, and she adjusted very well. It was harder on me than it was on her, because I was moving her out of my home into this facility. So that was hard on me.
So describe Family Visions. What kind of a program is that? What does it offer for Christine? Yeah, what is the program? Like, how do you I know you found Family Visions, but how did you find Family Visions? Did somebody tell you about that, or?
I joined the organization while I still had Christine at home. I joined the organization, and that's how I got to know them.
Right.
And what they do is they find placement for people that, can't manage their child at home anymore. It's not that I couldn't manage her. I just wanted her to be in a place where she's looked after when we are not able to look after her. But some people have to really give up their child because they're not manageable.
Yeah.
But that wasn't our case. I was thinking ahead to the future, and it's a good decision. She's been happy ever since.
But they offer housing, but they also offer other things as well. They provided her with employment, right? She had a very good job at a store for over 20 years.
Well, that was a workshop she went to. Yes, she went there for 20 years. That was a good program.
Mm-hmm.
Monday to Friday, 9 to 3:30.
What did you like to do at that store? Do you remember, or the workshop? What kinds of jobs did you do there?
I don't know, Pam.
She probably can't remember.
She did some stuff with clothing, didn't she?
I think they did a lot of cutting buttons off.
Cutting buttons.
Yep.
Buttons
Yeah, and organizing clothes, put them in piles.
Yep.
What was your favorite?
Flowers.
Flowers? What did you do with the flowers?
Paint them.
You painted them? Really? What colors did you paint them?
Pink, blue,
Really?
yellow.
Yellow? Okay. And who were your friends there?
Yeah, I don't know, Pam.
Can't remember?
I don't know.
And what did you get your watch for? Remember you got a watch?
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
That's
you
your
read-
bracelet. That's
you-
your bracelet.
That's your bracelet.
This bracelet.
Christine, what did you do when you retired
I
from?
don't know, Mom.
Can I help you? When you retired from
No,
CORE,
they're fine.
when you retired from
No, I'm
CORE,
not tired.
No, but when you quit
retired,
working, remember when
I
you quit
see,
working?
I'm
you
not
got
tired.
you got a 20-year watch. That's what you got for 20 years at CORE.
Mom, I can have. I will be 54.
Okay, so what,
Okay, but
what
you're not-
bracelet?
I don't know.
The bracelet you have on, what's
I
it
don't
for?
know, Pam. What is it, Pam?
I gave it to you in memory of Dad because he passed of Alzheimer's, right?
Yeah, you got it.
And you have one, and I have one, and Mom has one,
That's cool.
right? What did you do at the wedding last night? Who got married? Who got married
Lizzie.
yesterday?
Lizzie,
Lindsay and who?
Brennan.
Brandon. And
That's it.
that's it. Did you do some dancing?
Oh, yeah, dancing.
Oh,
too.
yeah, some dancing too.
And so, Michael Jackson.
You were dancing like Michael Jackson?
Yep.
What did they have for dinner? What did you eat at the wedding?
Pizza.
Pizza. Yeah. Right?
Pizza and even pop.
Pizza and pop.